The focus of this session is to explore disciplinary literacies and the expectations we have of college readers in our classes. So what are the books that have made you who you are? One of my favorite beginning of semester activities is a reading history lesson, where students create an inventory of meaningful reading experiences that they have had throughout their lives. And I can tell you that everything from The Very Hungry Caterpillar to Julius Caesar have featured prominently in these reflections. It is a way to emphasize the universality of literacy, that the words, stories, and concepts of our childhood leave their seeds in us, as Italo Calvino once said. The discussion of what we read and how we read is a deeply personal one. There are a lot of cultural and class assumptions about this activity, and in particular what the right kind of reading is and the right kind of books. Our students enter our classrooms very aware of this conversation and can feel out of their depth as outsiders to the disciplines that we find ourselves so comfortable in. Reading, writing, arithmetic. So these are the core subjects that our students come to very early, that we ourselves came to very early. And oftentimes, due to negative experiences in the past, our students come to dislike these subjects. But unlike math and writing, reading is sometimes called the invisible discipline, because we assume by the time students come to college that they just know how to read for our courses. As an English teacher, for example, I expect my students to be able to toggle easily between literary and rhetorical analysis, for example, that they will be able to analyze for metaphor and meter in a poem, and also, rhetorical modes of persuasion in a New York Times op-ed. I know on some level this is unrealistic, but that's implicitly or explicitly what all faculty expect of their students, that they will engage with our text meaningfully, that they will be able to grapple with the ideas presented therein, and that they will use our discipline-specific lenses as they look at the text for our courses. In 2006, a study on the literacy levels of America's college students found that only half of four-year college students and 25% of two-year college students were proficient in reading by the time they graduated. There are a lot of factors that contribute to this, not least of which is the fact that there is no universal definition of what quote-unquote college text readiness is. What we do know is that assigning readings and assuming that students are completing them proves frustrating for teachers and students alike. The following clip from a documentary called Reading Between the Lines, which I highly recommend you watch in its entirety if you have the time, and I'm going to put it in the resources section for you, outlines the essential problem from a student perspective.
They'll just like assign it like out of the blue. Like they probably go over it in class, like, okay, we need this done, this done, this done. Then be like, you got till next week.
Right. Yeah.
And then they'll talk about a whole different assignment.
No, because when they say read chapters 15 through 18, you're just kind of like, all right, what do I look for? What should I focus on?
Read chapter 17 through 18 by Wednesday or whatever.
I mean, the only thing they really instruct you on reading is read pages 8 through 10.
I never really got that much help. It was kind of like sink or swim.
Yeah, just sign it and listen.
Sometimes they'll give you questions that you need to answer. And,
That too.
Yeah.
But see, that's only the good teachers.
It's like, do they give you a format? Do they?
Hell no. Nah. I ain't never got a format for reading. I never, ever. The only time I got a format for reading was when my mom enrolled me in a class in Cal State Hayward when I was like 15.
Me personally, I haven't had any teachers that really, tell you to strategize and, okay, wake up in the morning and do 15 push-ups and then, read your notes and then, read the text. No, I haven't had any teachers that gave you, a strict set of rules on how to do, set up the assignments.
Not much. Most of the time they just tell you what to read, and then you come to class and then they'll talk about it for a little bit. And then that's pretty much it. It seems pretty brief sometimes. They just discuss it. They just expect you to have read it. You should know what you already know about it.
Nothing comes to mind actually, because I've had history classes where they do actually assign you like a book and reading from the internet here and there, and they just kind of expect you to have that background in English. they expect you to, which is a reasonable expectation, I think, because you're in college level.
They're thinking, oh, we're in college now, so they kind of expect us to do the reading ourselves and be
assume that
adults about it.
They
Yeah.
assume that we understand it.
I've never needed any help reading. Two-twos, I guess. I don't know. I think I'm a pretty good reader. I think I'm fairly intelligent.
What do you mean accident reading? Like just reading for school, like grades?
Something that you've been assigned.
What's my process of getting through it? Man, don't do it. It's like do it just to do it. I have a Nike mentality. Just do it. I'm a Nike kid. That's me. Nike. That's what I do.
It's pretty much how I feel when I open that book and take a look at it. It's no strategy. Scanning. I don't really have a good technique.
But if I'm kind of like not in the mood to do it, then I'll just do it kind of halfway, and my assignments usually won't come out as good.
One of the key challenges of this co-requisite model is ensuring that students are receiving enough literacy support and instruction to truly help them gain the footing they need to succeed in their college classes. While it's easy to focus on this as a set of discrete skills, academic discourse, reading and writing, involves peculiar ways of knowing, selecting, evaluating, reporting, concluding, and arguing that define the discourse of our community. So what does this mean? Well, let's focus a bit more on disciplinary literacy. Sonia Armstrong, a professor at Texas State and a CTN scholar mentor, uses this metaphor in her trainings to illustrate how we view a text in its broadest definition in light of our particular field of study and expertise. Think of an apple. As an English major, I think about Adam and Eve, original sin, the fall. I think about the literary symbolism that the apple has throughout world and English literature. An education major might look at this apple and think about education itself and teachers' pets and bringing an apple to the teacher and placing it on the desk. A historian might cite the story of Johnny Appleseed, and a horticulturalist might think about apple varieties and a narrowing of genetic crop diversity generally. There is no single way to read this apple. All readings are valid. In fact, the variety of reading is essential to productive and meaningful discourse. But let's think about this from a student perspective. They are being asked to read this apple, or any text that's assigned, across disciplines with an insider lens in each of their classes, every day, every semester, and every year, and this is a very tall order. In fact, I'm sure all of us can remember a text in college that we struggled with, one that we found incomprehensible, and the feeling of disengagement and frustration that this brought on. One helpful article is Sheila Tobias's Insiders and Outsiders, which I encourage everybody to read. She argues that insiders to a subject often fail to acknowledge what newcomers to a subject may struggle with, and she advocates for an outsider perspective. Among the teaching strategies she cites are those by Fred Mosteller, a professor of statistics at Harvard, who, at the end of each unit, asks students to write in response to the following questions. What was the key issue in this series of lessons? Of the materials we've covered, what do you want to know more about? And what was the muddiest issue? And to begin a class or course, he would start with a simple question. Ask me anything you want to know about statistics. I also love the description Tobias includes of a program called Peer Perspectives, which truly highlights the great work that can be done among colleagues from different disciplines in cultivating that crucial outsider perspective. I believe that co-requisites offer a way to move forward in this vein. While there is no easy solution to the challenges of engaging our students in our course text, we must remember the student perspective and make a concerted effort to engage in practices that help our students better read for our given disciplines. It might be helpful for disciplinary faculty to review the stages of literacy development, and they might find resources like the Reading Apprenticeship Framework helpful for unpacking these ideas. I think above all, we will always need reading experts at the college level, faculty whose expertise is breaking down these difficult and challenging texts for our students. In the co-requisite model, developmental faculty, INRW, and math faculty serve a really crucial role in helping engage our students in the subjects that we love most, the subjects that first sparked our passion for our field.